The AFCON keeps on doing all the things that it promised to do, all the drama, all the cinematic stuff, the theatrics, and all the things that you expected to see in the African Cup of Nations keep on unfolding day after day in the African Cup of Nations. There's this Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. It's another exciting edition of our time here on YouTube, and I'm excited consistently to be here for me. There's a lot to unpack for you here today on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Like we always do, if you are new to the channel, you've not subscribed to the channel, you should pause the video now, go back and subscribe to the channel. If you are not new, however, but have also not subscribed to the channel, the onus lies on you to also pause the video again and then subscribe to the channel. Then again, we'll go and look into the conversation of how you need to turn on your notification to this channel so that you are first to get every upload that's done here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Mind you, as you already know, we give you the best in football tactical analysis here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. So stick and stay. Do not go anywhere. There is a lot to unpack. Have you heard of the story of the jailbreak in Ecuador? The story of how prisoners have gone out. Ecuador's most notorious drug lord has broken out of jail, has held some prison wardens hostage in the various prisons, locked them up in. They select some of them their throats. They are in the streets of Ecuador, killing people in there. It is some breaking stuff that you've been intrigued on to hear as a football fan. So you stick and stay. There is also now the breaking one from Jules Lawrence. I've told you consistently that anytime that Fabrice Hawkins or Jules Lawrence, anytime that they do reports on French players, you take them extra serious. This time, not Fabrice Laurent, not Fabrice Hawkins, but then Jules Laurent has come out to speak about the situation of Karim Mustafa Benzema, who is looking for options to leave Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia for a move in January somewhere in Europe. There's conversations that really, it looks as if Chelsea are really having a good look at him. Armando Broja is being earmarked around the 50 to 60 million mark. If any team wants to come and sack him, I'll tell you why. You shouldn't take that report hook, line, sinker. There's a lot of analysis for that for you. Then we'll go and talk about the biggest games that are going to come up tomorrow in the African Cup of Nations. I'll preview for you Nigeria versus La Côte d'Ivoire, and then there is also the big one in the evening at 8 p.m. Ghana versus the Pharaohs and Egypt. Will Ghana make it through to the next day of the competition? Are they going to be humbled by the Egyptians again? Is it going to be a reality check for the Ghanaians? We'll have all of that conversation on Fiifi-Manfred. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. Like you always do, if you've not subscribed to the channel, you should pause the video now, go back and then subscribe to the channel. It's imperative that you subscribe to the channel. If you not turn on notification, you should turn on notification now. This is the best sports analytics show here on YouTube. You need to subscribe to the channel now. Now let's get into the details. We'll start with the AFCON. Yesterday, I saw one of the most beautiful games I've seen in the African Cup of Nations. Tactically, the job that the Eagles of Mali did on the South Africans was brilliant. I think that has been the best cocktail of physicality and then tactical brilliance from a team. The midfield combinations of Amadou Haidara, Aliou Dieng, and then of course Yves Bissouma, then sometimes Koulibaly comes in, was excellent. And that's exactly the undoing of the South Africans. And I think that the Malians have a very, very good team. The squad is managed well. They have a very, very long way to go. Today, another big boy took onto the scene in San Pedro, and it was the Moroccans. They were good. They took the Tanzanians to their cleaners. They opened them up by 3-0. Very good triangles from outside. Good combination play from the Moroccans. And Walid Ouagaragui's team showed exactly why they are the first African side to get into the semi-finals of the World Cup. It was breathtaking, simple, straightforward job getting done at the office from the Moroccans. Today, they got a job done in there. And then again, that was the final game that went on versus Zambia and then the DRC. That was an exciting matchup. Everybody spoke about the fact that that match was going to be a little bit fun, and it was really fun between Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was an excellent game, and everybody that watches football, everybody that loves the game, really wanted to see that game. When you see that game, you know That was a big game. So the first round of matches have ended. Tomorrow we are starting the second round of games, and then there are big games for everybody that loves the sport, that loves African football. There are two big games. First of all, La Côte d'Ivoire is going to play against Nigeria. Mind you, La Côte d'Ivoire did beat Guinea-Bissau by 2-0 in the opening fixture of the competition. The Nigerians found it difficult to defeat the Equatorial Guineans. It was a draw in that game. They dropped points. Now, the Nigerians had a press soiree in the last few days, and the players had been speaking. Alex Iwobi, Kelechi Iheanacho, Victor Osimhen, all of these players have been speaking, and everything points to the fact that they know that they can take the game to the Ivorians, and they are going to get something out of the game. For them, it's a step-by-step journey. It's a step-by-step journey. There is nothing to be worried about. They got a point. It's a chance for them to go head-to-head with the defending champions at the Stade Al-Hassani Ouattara Olympique in Abidjan, and to get a job done. It's a difficult game for both parties. I'm looking at this Ivorian team. This is an Ivorian team that is solid, combatively. And I think that the Ivorians, like I've said, want to mimic and take a clue from DJ Deschamps' French national team play. Hugely physical, hugely combative, hugely a dueling trio in the middle of the park. But essentially, they want to use that physicality and that depth in technical ability to be able to win a lot of games. So if you look at Sesco Fofana, you look at, say, Frank Yannick Kessié, and then you look at, what's his name? Frank Yannick Kessié, Sesco Fofana, and then in the middle of the park, this is a midfield show that is very stubborn for you to play against. Say, Ibrahima Sangare. Very difficult for you to play against a midfield show like this. Big, bulky, tall, combative, aggressive in the middle of the park. But then you talk about the technical ability of Sesco Fofana with his ball striking that led him to score that opener in the competition. And then that of Ibrahima Sangare also in the build-up phase. It is excellent. One of the things I saw in the Malian game versus South Africa was how almost every team in the African Cup of Nations seems to be locking central area. So you go back, you look at the Mali game versus South Africa for one. Central congestion, central blockade is the order of the day. Every team is not pressing high. It's not pressing very aggressive because, of course, national teams, you don't get too much time to even prepare for press routines. But then it's about central blockade and how teams find solutions to deal with that. How are teams going to go around the block? How are teams going to find ways to force the jump and then play through the press or play through the block? How are teams going to do the timing very well? This is some of the questions that you ask yourself, and it has been all around in the African Cup of Nations as it stands now. And it's one of the questions that tomorrow I feel the Nigerians will have to ask the Ivorians. The Ivorians will not come breaking them down, I tell you. They will lock up in the middle of the park with Fofana Sangare and then Frank Yannick Kessié. And then they are going to use the pace of their wingers and then also Sesco Fofana up top when they win the ball from such areas. It's an important part of their play. They are going to be more physical on Joe Aribo and then Yusuf in the middle of the park. I think that this is a game that Nigerians have to use their width very well. Isolate their wingers, Moses Simons, Ademola Lookman, 1v1, and then seek to hurt them. It's very important. If you don't isolate your wingers, if you don't take the game to the Ivorians, and then you sit back and you want them, you wait for them to catch you on a break, then you're in trouble. And that's something that the Ivorians need to really check in the game that they are going to play against the Ivorians tomorrow. I think it's a tough game. I'll give it a double chance for the Ivorians. It's a tough game for Nigerians. Another draw for Nigeria. Then hopefully they can beat Guinea-Bissau in the final game. Then they can qualify even in second place if they get that job done. So it's a tough one for the Nigerians. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. And then the big one, Ghana versus Egypt. Ghana made a lot of mistakes in that game where they played in the first round against Cape Verde. Cape Verde had a very good defensive shape in between the lines. They locked up central areas, prevented Ghana from receiving the ball on the half turn and in the half space. It was a good way of play. And that's how they managed to limit Ghana from just crosses going into the bar line. Yes, Ghana have excellent wingers, so if you're able to limit them from wide areas, then you should be careful, because if Joseph Pencil, when the lags are in their game, then you can't be hurt, right? But it is a game where the Cape Verdeans were smart. They doubled up on the Ghanaians in wide areas, and then they locked up centrally. Now, the only person that was in line to receive in the half spaces on the half 10 was Konexdorfer. Konexdorfer feel that it was his first big game, and was a game that he wasn't really going to thrive in because the space was very limited, and he isn't the most mobile of your number 10s in there, and it caused a lot of problems for Ghana. And now Ghana is asking if Mohamed Kudus can play because he's the most comfortable receiver of the ball in the half spaces. It's a big ask given that his injury is a hamstring one, and you ask yourself, can he recover? And then playing in with that, is it worth it? And all of those things. If Kudus gets the chance to play, it's a big boost for the Ghanaians. He's a comfortable receiver on the half 10. Progressive carries was was a big deal in the game that Ghana played against Cape Verde. The kind of player that can carry the ball from deep areas into the opposing half, that has that press resistant ability to carry into the other half. Mohamed Kudus possesses all of that, whether from the right wing, whether from central areas. When he picks up that ball, he attracts 2 or 3 Egyptians to himself. He's an excellent carrier of the ball. He's a good press resistant player, and that's possibly going to split our spaces for Antoine Semenyo, from Joseph Pinto, and then from the other side, Ernest Apianiwa. It's an important trait that he holds. And tomorrow, if Ghana are going to do anything possible against the Pharaohs of Egypt, they need Mohamed Kudus to be up on his game. They need him, and need him so badly. I don't think that Kudus is going to start a game against Egypt, but really, in that game, Kudus is going to be an important player if he gets to play any part, even the slightest part in there for the Ghana Black Stars. It's a tough ordeal. It's a Herculean task. It's a big mountain of a task for Ghana against the Pharaohs of Egypt. But hey, you've done it before. In terms of the statistics, the Egyptians have an upper hand over the Ghanaians, especially playing the African Cup of Nations. It's a tough ask for the Ghanaians. But today, Jordan Ayew, Mohamed Kudus, the guys that spoke at the pre-match press conference, expressing the fact that they know how much of a big game this is, and they want to be known for the big games. Hence, they believe that they can give the Egyptians a big run for their money. Let's see at 8 p.m. today. Let's see how that goes in that game against them. But hey, I have big news for you also. In the beginning of this video, I asked you why. Why do you think that there is some unrest in Ecuador? So this is a story. Ecuador's most notorious dragsman, most notorious drug lord, has broken out of prison. And while he broke out of prison, his gang have been able to arrest some prison wardens, kept them in a cell. Some have been killed on site and whatnot. While he broke out of prison, they are going from house to house to kill people, such that Ecuador's president has declared a state of emergency. It is in the light of this that Chelsea, its owners, Todd Bowley, Baghdad, and Bali Feliciano, have asked that Chelsea provide the family of the 2 Ecuadorians in their senior team. Yes, Chelsea are going to provide security 24 hours for the 2 Ecuadorians in their senior team, Moises Caicedo and then Kendry Paye. Kendry Paye and Moises Caicedo. 17-year-old Kendry Paye that just joined the team from Independiente de la Vela. And then also Moises Caicedo. They are providing their family 24 hours. You remember what happened to Luis Diaz and his family in Colombia, where his father was abducted at some point in time. Liverpool offered some support, and then he went to his family, saw them, and now he's good. Now, Moises Caicedo is not supposed to go back to Ecuador. Kendry Paye is not going back to Ecuador, but they are providing security for their family just so that these boys can be in a sound mind to be able to play and concentrate on games on the field of play. So that's exactly what Chelsea are doing for the family of Moises Caicedo and then Kendry Paye. It's important that they find ways to make sure that these boys are in a very good place mentally, because given what's going on at Ecuador, it's an eyesore. I mean, you see people on the road, people literally being beheaded, people whose throats are being slit because the drug lord of Ecuador has broken out of prison. He himself has turned himself into a warden and has imprisoned under prison warders, and it's a little bit funny because after all is said and done, he says all of these things. He's out there also killing people, beheading people. In fact, the details of the story is that Ecuador's president was shown how this drug lord had connived with some members of the erstwhile government. Ecuador's president he was an actor, he wasn't a politician, he was a civilian that just went into politics, so he's not part of the establishment. Now, he's not an establishment guy. He comes in, sees the rot of the erstwhile government. And then he says that he's not going to negotiate with any criminal at all. So he has declared a state of emergency. Ecuador's military are on the streets looking for these drug lords to gun them down, to arrest them and take them back into their prison. Whilst these people are also going house to house, killing people, putting the state of Ecuador into a very bizarre and in a state of anarchy as it stands now. And it is stressful for everybody that has a family in Ecuador. The Ecuadorian capital has been a state of serious unrest for the past few days. And that's exactly why Chelsea and its owners have found it very prudent that Kendrick Paye, Moise Caicedo, their family in Ecuador need 24-hour constant security so that the boys can be relaxed and play some football for Chelsea Football Club. So it is so much, but then Chelsea are protecting their interests, and their interest is in Moise Caicedo and then Kendrick Paye as a player. That's exactly what Chelsea are doing in there for the two players that they are getting in there. So it's something that we'll see how the development goes. But as it stands now, there are no reports about any member of Kendrick Paye's family or Moises Caicedo's family being hurt or injured or anything. They seem to be fine. The training pictures are in. All of those players are in training, but still it looks as if there is no Christopher Nkunku in the training pictures. No Christopher Nkunku. We reported for you days ago that the injury Nkunku had this time wasn't a recurrence of the knee injury that he had prior. It was just this time an inflammation of his hip. That's just a swelling of his hip, and it was just precautionary that he stays away from football and gets the hip swell to reduce so that he can go back and play football. Reported that it's expected that he joins the team this weekend when they go and play in the cup games that they have to play. But today, Chelsea have posted training pictures, and there was no Christopher Nkunku in there for Chelsea Football Club. I mean, a lot of fans are a little bit worried. A lot of fans are asking about Christopher Nkunku, and they want to see Christopher Nkunku back in there. I mean, the conversation about injuries is funny with players, and for me, it's not a white or black. It's not a yes or no. It's not just this or that. I think that it goes beyond every other thing. Sometimes you need to be much more careful when you're discussing injuries of players, because I don't think these players want to get injured every time and sit away from playing and get doing a job that they so love doing and making the monies that they want to make. So let's be a little bit very, very calm with Nkunku. Let's keep fingers crossed. I believe that sometimes the player may be fit, but the club may not want to put too much information out there. They'll just keep it in their wraps and then they will unleash him on match day. So let's just wait and see how Nkunku goes with respect to his injury recovery in that game against Middlesbrough. It's a big game at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea need to do a lot more. We'll do the proper preview for you. We'll go back, we'll look at the last game that Chelsea played against Middlesbrough at the Riverside. The mistakes that Chelsea did. The things that Chelsea didn't do right. We'll look at how Pochettino can correct them with the structure and everything that they need to get. Then we'll see if it's possible or likely that Chelsea can go ahead and get a job done against Middlesbrough at Riverside. It's important. And Nkunku's situation is even much more precarious in the context of Armando Broja. Today, David Osteen is reporting that Chelsea are likely going to have players 40, possibly may let Armando Broja go for about 40 to 50 to 60 million euros. I mean, 50 to 60 million pounds quid in there. And they feel that he is in the evaluation of what Manchester United bought for Rasmus Højlund. As it stands now, it is a report that I don't find very interesting. I don't think that it's a true reflection. It's just like the Conor Gallagher one. Their interest for Conor Gallagher, their interest for Armando Broja. Chelsea don't want to sell essentially. But if there's a big bid, a mammoth bid, a crazy bid comes in for Armando Broja, who's on the Chelsea Academy, who Chelsea have not paid a penny for, and they are going to get 60 million. They will take it and then go and reinvest the money into a top striker. That's it. It's not as if that Broja is just leaving or he's not going to play for Chelsea again. No, that's not the case. It is just a case of the fact that Chelsea are relaxed about players like Armando Broja. They are not necessarily just going to let him go. He just returned from injury. They are calm about him. They are not rushing into solving their striker problems now. They want to see Nkunku. But really, if there is a mad money for Armando Broja, if there is crazy money for Armando Broja, 60 million, 70 million, 80 million for Rasmus Højlund that came then of course Chelsea is going to let him go. It's just going to be the same as the Mason Mount saga, the Kai Havertz saga. These are excellent players, but sometimes when the money is moving, you don't wait for their contract to expire on you and then you make nothing out of it. It's like the Lukaku situation. Chelsea will never let that happen. Immediately they realize that a player is in a place where he may play hard ball and may not play by the book. Definitely they may cut their losses and let the player go. So that's it by way of Chelsea. There's a lot of other news going on in the round of sports, and we will talk about everything. So again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, just have a few minutes to go. Stick and stay, and then let's just wrap up everything as well. The Premier League is returning. Liverpool are playing Arsenal. It's the big game in the English Premier League. The host of games yet to go on. Barcelona and its issues. Wait. But Xavi is actually falling out of favor with his players. And I can confirm this now. A lot of the Barca players are beginning to spill information to Mundo Deportivo, to other outlets in Barcelona, to RMC and the likes, that they don't like the job that Xavi is doing in there. Tactically, looks as if he's losing the dressing room. Senior players like Robert Lewandowski and the likes aren't excited about the job that Xavi is doing. But the thing is that Barca do not have the financial muscle to go and bring in a big name manager and then make some changes in there. So they will likely to stick with him as Xavi. But Xavi really is failing at the job. He has been outwitted tactically by Ancelotti a couple of times. The last time his highline failed again for the second time. The first one in the Clasico, this one happened again. Xavi is in hot waters. And it looks as if Ancelotti will win the Super Cup de España and then go on and win the league possibly, and then go very far in the Champions League as compared to Barcelona, who after winning the Spanish La Liga seems to be going down a downward throttle, which is not a good one for FC Barcelona and their board and everybody that's a fan of the club in there for FC Barcelona. Mind you, the title race is getting hotter and exciting in the Italian Serie A. AC Milan are on third. They're 7 points away from Juventus, who are second, and are 2 points away from the league leaders Internazionale Milan. Is it going to be Simeone Inzaghi or is it going to be Max Allegri? Both of them now playing the 3-back system, but then more emphasis on the on and off the ball structure and automatisms of Simeone Inzaghi. We'll talk about that into detail. But today, this is the end of all the conversation we have for you. A lot of juice. 22 minutes of brilliant analysis and juice here. My name is Fiifi-Manfred. I am consistently, as always, grateful that you choose me, and this has been your channel of every football analysis. I'll see you in the next few hours. But before we do that, subscribe to the channel and take very good care of yourself. Bye.